Guys, Luther here from Luther's Woodworking. Today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about some projects I've been working on in the last couple of weeks, 2 weeks or so. They're going to be Alex Fox and Alex Fox patterns. If you are into scroll sawing or woodworking, a lot of you probably know Alex Fox from Facebook, or he's got a YouTube channel. He's got a lot of projects on his website. But he has these bowls, and I know a lot of scroll saws do these bowls here. And I've done, I think he's got like 19 different patterns of bowls, and I've done a lot of his bowls. I usually paint them or stain them different colors, mostly different colors of stain, and they're pretty neat bowls. They're fun to make, pretty simple, easy to cut out. I'm not a real big fan on actually gluing them together, but I have made a lot of these bowls. And when I make these bowls, I'll cut out, if I want to make 10 of them, I'll cut out all 10 first, and then I'll start assembling the bowls. And then I'll go from there. So I started making a bunch of bowls a couple weeks back, and I had all these patterns laid out. And you can see here, this is going to be a bowl, because when you do the bowls, let me just show you here. When you do his bowls, you're going to cut out all the rings that go along with the bowl, and then you're going to start stacking these rings on top of each other to create this bowl, starting with the bottom small piece, and then you stack up to create the bowl. And Alex Fox has a great video on showing you how to do that. He's got all the patterns and the diagrams and how to stack these up here. Like on one of his patterns here, if you take this pattern right here, on this bowl, when you print out his pattern, you're going to get this page here. You're actually going to get the pattern itself. And then here's a little page that shows kind of like how you assemble it. But he's got this page right here. Let me show you here. He's got this page right here. And that shows you the degree right here of each piece that gets laid out. It gets twisted a little bit as it gets glued on. And he'll show you how to use this page. I personally don't use this. When I put the bowls together, I just lay out the biggest piece here, and then I start putting the pieces on. I think this is the next piece that goes on. I just start laying them out the way I think it's gonna look nice, and then I just start gluing them on there. And you just keep on doing that until you get a bowl. Or you could put it together this way too. But yeah, that's how I do it. I really don't use this here from Alex Fox, but he shows how to use it. And that is actually making the bowl. So what I do when I want to make a whole bunch of bowls, I'll cut out all these rings. And what we do is we take the tape and the pattern off, because when you make a bowl, when you make one of these bowls, you only need a piece of 1/4 inch Baltic birch, and you'd apply your pattern to this, and then you just start cutting out your rings. And that's what this came from. And after we cut the rings out, we sand them and all that stuff, and then we decide what we're going to do for color. This is all stained different colors, but you could paint it. So a couple weeks back, I was working on bowls, and I had all these patterns, and you can see I got them all laid out here. I'll try to get a few out here so you can see, but I got all these patterns from these bowls laid out. I don't know if you can see this or not. Move my camera here a little bit. But all these patterns I had laid out, and here's a neat one right here. And I'm looking at all these, and here's another nice one. They're really cool looking. And they're laid out here, and I'm looking at them, and I'm thinking, well, I really don't like gluing them together for bowls. which I will, but and these are all going to be bowls. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, that's kind of a nice, neat pattern. What can I do with that? I mean, I really don't want to glue it together. Maybe what can I do with it? And I'm thinking, well, you can't really glue it together like this because it's not going to hold very well because you got the curve of the blade and everything's made to fit. So I'm thinking, what can I do with that, because there's a lot of neat designs. So I thought, well, if I made a backer piece for this and glued all these pieces to a backer piece, I could make a trivet. Now trivets, a lot of woodworkers make them. Alex Fox has got some patterns for some trivets, and basically it's pieces cut and then they're on a backing piece. And I'm thinking, why can't I make trivets out of these? I can still make bowls, but why can't I make trivets? So I decided, well, I need to make a backing piece for it. So we'll just set these aside here. I'll show you what I did. Okay, so what I did was I made a backing piece for them. Now here's the trivets I made. Now I'll take some of these out of the bags here. I keep them in Ziploc bags, and this one's actually done. And you can see I made a backer for it. This is the back piece for it. This is actually 2 pieces of 1/4-inch plywood. And then all I did was take these rings after I sanded them, stained them, colored them, whatever I want, and glued them to that backer. And you can make all different designs of trivets. And on the back of these, I put these little rubber feet, so it can sit down on your table or your countertop. It won't damage the countertop, and it makes a nice looking trivet. And they're all different shapes. This is the same pattern of the bowls. It's just that they're not stacked to create a bowl. So basically, it's just all you have to do is cut out the pieces and glue them to a backer piece. But I was thinking, you want that backer piece to be the exact same shape as your outside ring, because you don't want it to be off. If you cut this backer piece separate and then cut all your rings out, well, cut this outside ring out, it might be a little different, and you might have a little bit of a overhang or something. It might not line up perfect. So I had to figure out cutting that backing piece to fit this outside ring. So that way, when you start gluing these together, that backer piece, take this piece right here, this trivet, you want your backer piece to be the exact same size as this outside ring. That way when you put it on, there's no overhang when you glue it together. And then all you got to do is glue all these pieces on that backer board. So what I ended up doing, we'll just set these aside. What I ended up doing is, when you make a bowl, you just use 1 piece of 1/4-inch plywood. Put your pattern on here, you just start cutting your rings out. You end up like this. But when you do trivet, and you make trivets out of these, you actually you tape together 2 pieces of 1/4-inch plywood. This back piece right here is going to be your backer, and the top piece is where I got my pattern glued on. So what you're going to do is you're going to end up drilling a hole on the outside here somewhere. Let me mark this to show you. You got these 2 pieces taped together. You got your pattern glued on this here. You're just going to drill a hole out here somewhere. And then you're going to just start, and you're going to cut the whole perimeter of this shape. And once you do that, the backer piece is going to be the exact same size as your outside ring. So when you go to glue this together, it's going to fit perfectly on there. Now, this one is ready to go. I'll show you this. I got a hole drilled right there, and we'll go to the saw and we'll cut this out, and I'll show you, because there's some other things that will help you. I'm going to show you to get these all lined up to put on, because when you look at these patterns right here, when you look at these patterns, let me get this here. These are only going to fit. Well, let me show you on another one here. I got another. We got two of them that we just did earlier today. Here's one we did right here. I cut out all the rings. Now, you can see I got my backer piece right here. And this backer piece is the exact same shape as this outside ring. So, if you go, let me try to do this here. If I take this off, like this. Okay, now we have our back piece right here. And I'm going to show you this on the saw, but when you take this back ring, I got a little line right here, up here, and I got a line on this backer piece. All I know is it goes just like this. Now when you glue this here on here, it's going to be the exact same shape as that backer piece, and that's what you want, so it's nice and smooth all the way around the outside edge. Get it like this, so it's all nice and smooth around this outside edge. Once you got that glued in place, then all these other ones, get this out of here, all these other ones, using this line as a guideline, all these other ones will fit right in place. It'll drop right in. And I'll show you the importance of having this mark on the back, because if I was to turn this like this, even though it looks like it might go in, it's not going to fit in. You don't want to try to force these pieces in. If you don't use this marker piece that I'm going to show you later, you're going to have to keep on going around and trying to fit this in like that. But because I got this line right here on the back, I know to line it up with this line right here, and it should just drop right in. You don't want to force these pieces in here. And then when you're going to have glue on all the back of this, you're going to end up just gluing all these pieces to that backer piece. And you just keep on going until you get to the last piece. We just keep on going here. All these pieces should fit, should drop right in. Once you got your outside ring glued, everything will stay. And you just keep on putting in all these rings like this. And these look really, really neat. And you just keep on gluing them all in there. You're going to have glue all inside here. Just set them in there. And you really don't have to worry about your glue squeezing out, because it's a 1/4 inch. It's not going to go up that high. But they all drop right in. You don't want to force these pieces in there, because these are small, thin pieces, and they break easy. But you set them all in there like this here. Then you got your last piece right here. And you can see I got a line on this last piece that lines up with this line and sets right in. So you end up with a trivet. Once that's dried, you can put an oil on top or varnish it or whatever you want. And then you put your back little feet on the back. But I'm going to show you how to get these all lined up, and I'll cut a little bit on this one here. But that's what I came up with after looking at all these different patterns that I had, and I got a ton of them. Set this aside. I got a ton of them. I mean, you can go through. I got one right here. This one here. We got this one here. I got all 19 of them, and these are all patterns of baskets, but I did not stack them. I just made trivets out of them. Here's one right here I did. I mean, the design is endless. The colors that you can do are endless, whatever color you want. This one's stained, a little red stain. Here's a black and white one, or a black and natural wood. So there's endless designs. People could use these for trivets, or they could hang them on the wall. Hang them on the wall for a design. But there's endless colors and designs for these here. This one right here kind of looks like a flower. This one actually looks more like a flower right here. Here's one we did that kind of looks like a flower that we did. But these are all bowl patterns that I just made trivets out of them. So we're going to go over to the saw. I'm going to show you how I do this piece for the backing so it's easy for you to assemble and put together. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the whole thing for you, because basically it's just cutting out the rings. I just wanted to show you what I was doing. So we're going to head over to the saw, and we're going to start on cutting this out, and I'll show you what I got going. All right, here at the saw. Now, remember I told you, you want to drill a hole. You can see it's on the outside of my pattern right here. Remember, this is 2 pieces of 1/4-inch Baltic birch taped together with the pattern on top. You got a hole drilled on the outside of your pattern. It don't matter where, it don't even really matter the size of that hole, but you want to drill one right there. And then we're just going to cut the perimeter of this pattern out. So let me thread this blade through here, and I'm using a number 3 reverse tooth Flying Dutchman blade. I usually use that size when I cut 1/4-inch, 1/2-inch plywood. So we're just going to cut this perimeter of this piece. Now, a lot of these bowl patterns, I don't know if you can tell, but a lot of them, they get pretty, where's my pencil? The lines get pretty close to each other when you start out down here. So if you're new to scroll sawing, maybe practice on doing turns, quick turns, curves, straight lines, because for me this is easy to cut out, but for somebody just starting to scroll saw work, it might be kind of challenging. So just make sure you practice doing some of your curves and quick turns. And I'm not really going real fast because I am cutting 2 pieces of 1/4-inch, and you want to stay on your line as much as possible to make these bowls look really nice. So I'm not going to go real super fast. I can go a little faster once I get down to just a 1/4-inch. Okay, so we cut all the way around. And now we're just going to take this piece off here. This is the top piece. Now the reason why I didn't start my cut from the outside edge here, because I wanted this to be a solid piece so it's not open right here and it would wiggle around as I'm cutting. So that's why I say drill your hole on the outside of your pad and start there. That way this is a solid piece. So we will not need this piece, so we'll set that aside. Now you got your piece right here that you cut. Now don't move the things around, just keep it like this here. You can see, let me move my camera here a little bit. You can see right here, it's all smooth on the outside. The backer piece is the same exact shape as the outside ring right here. Now, notice too, I did not drill no pilot holes for all these different rings because you got to thread your blade through to cut each one of these rings out. So you got to drill pilot holes in here. But you don't want to drill your pilot holes before you cut this out because you don't want holes in your back. You don't want holes in your back piece right here. So I pick it up off my saw. It's just like this. It's all together. What I usually do is figure out where I'm going to put my pilot holes. And I'm going to go right up here where these two lines meet. I'm going to put all the pilot holes right up on these different points here. I don't know if you can see it, but right on these points I'm going to put my pilot holes. So what I'm going to do is just take it and put an arrow right there. And that just tells me that I'm going to put my pilot holes on these right here. Now, I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to go to the back right here. And I got some tape on here. You might want to take your tape off. Let me just take some of this tape off because it's in the way of what I want to show you. Okay, so right here is where we're going to put the pilot holes on all these points right here. I'm just going to go to the back here, and now I'm just going to go from this point, if you can see, from this point right here. I'm just going to draw a line like this here, down into there. Now you can see I got a line on the back of my piece right here, and I got the arrows pointing right here. Now I can take this backer board and basically, if I move this backer board around and twist it around, whatever, and I want to put this back on here to match up with this, all I got to do is find this line, find my arrow, and here I want to show you one more thing though too. Once you got your arrow here and you know where you're going to put your pilot holes, on this piece, I like taking a Sharpie because you can see it better than the pencil line. You're going to go back here, same point, okay? You're going to flip this around, same point. I don't know if you can see it. But I'm going to draw a line right here with my Sharpie. Now, it does not matter that this Sharpie line, just put this away. Now, it does not matter that you drew on here with a Sharpie, because this is the part that's going to have the glue on it, and you're not going to see this. So now if I mix this all up, I set it aside, I come back an hour later. If I want to match these two pieces up, all I got to do is find this line, and put them together like this. And now I know that this is how it goes together. And it's going to fit perfect. And that's going to help when you go to glue all these rings on this backer piece. See, I got this line here lined up with this line. And you know this point goes right here. And everything lines up. So now we can set this aside. We have to go over and drill some pilot holes on all these different rings. So I'm going to do that. Well, let me just take you over there because I want to show you what I use to drill these holes. Okay, so what I use to drill all these holes for my pilot holes, I got a real small drill bit in this Dremel right here. This is a Dremel just mounted in a plunger attachment that you can get for your Dremel. And I got a real small blade drill bit in there. Now, the size of that drill bit, you want it small enough, as small as you can get it, but you still need to get your scroll saw blade through that hole. And on my saw, that blade that I'm using, that number 3, just fits through this hole. So you want to make sure that whatever size drill bit you use, it's big enough to fit your scroll saw blade through, but you don't want it too big because you want to hide these holes. You don't. If you look at these, trivets, if I show you this trivet right here, it's very hard to see where them holes are drilled. You'd have to look really close to see where them holes are drilled. But they are, and I know where it's at because I did it, but the average person is going to look at this and they're not going to see them holes. So you don't want them holes too big. So what I do is this, I go right where my arrow was right here. I know this is where my line is right here. That's where I'm going to put all the holes. And you want to drill the holes right on the line. All right, so that's all it really takes to drill them holes. You don't need nothing fancy to drill pilot holes for any type of scroll saw work. I use that for anything I need to drill pilot holes in. So now we head back over to the scroll saw. Now, basically now, all you have to do is cut out all these rings. So I'm going to show you cutting out just maybe 1 or 2 rings because it takes about 40 minutes, 45 minutes to cut this whole thing out. And I'm not going to do a whole video just me cutting this out. Unless you want me to, just let me know in the comments. I can, but it's basically just threading your blade through this hole, cutting this middle piece out, and then keep on threading your blade through the hole and cutting out each ring. I like to start from the center and work out. If you want, you could start from the outside and work in if it's easier for you. So let's head back over to the scroll saw. I'll cut 1 or 2 rings out, and then we'll finish up this video. All right, so basically, I like to start and cut from the inside out. So we'll just thread your blade through there. And start cutting these out. Okay, here's the center. Now, you can see the line on the back right here. That's going to help you put this all back together again. So basically, you got the center cut out. You're just going to keep on threading your blade through that hole. And like I said, my blade just fits through that hole. Sometimes I have trouble getting it through, but it just fits. You don't want too big of a hole. And you're just going to keep on going around actually broke, I think. The blade actually broke. Okay, messed up here. We'll get another one on here real quick here, and I'll be right back. All right, got a new blade in here. Hopefully that lasts. Like I said, my videos are real time. I don't speed things up. If something happens, you're going to see it. So that's just the way it is. Okay, so now what I want to show you, I'm not going to go through cutting this whole thing because it does take a little while to cut this out, but I wanted to show you. You can see in the back here, well, let's go over to the workbench. I'm going to show you why that mark on the back is important and how it helps you put all this together. Okay, so now we got the centerpiece and we got another ring cut out. Now, normally, let me grab my piece I'm cutting on. Normally, you'd have all these rings cut out. And you got your centerpiece here. Now, you can see this is the arrow that we put right there. So that's the point right there. You got all your rings laid out here. You're going to see a little black mark on here because that's where you put that Sharpie line. And it's going to be on every ring. So basically, you know, you got to take all your paper off, sand it, and stain it. But you'll see all this this black line on here. You just line that black line up with that arrow, and that'll fit right on there. There's no guesswork as far as where it's going to fit or how it's going to go on there. You just know that this line right here is just going to go up where that arrow is, or basically where that line is in the back. See how these lines line up? So when you get all your rings on there, all them lines will line right up. So that makes it a lot easier to put together. So once you get all these rings cut out, take your paper off, take your tape off, sand everything, and then you can come up with whatever color that you want. Like on this one here, this is the color we came up with. Stained wood, different colors, black stain. But basically, you can see that black line right here lines up with this line on the inside of your backer board. And you know it goes right there and it sits right on there. That just takes the guesswork out of trying to get these all together, because they only fit on there one way. They may look like they fit, but don't force anything together. So basically, that's probably it with this video. I just wanted to share with you that I didn't have no trivet patterns, but you can use these bowls that Alex Fox has got. I know Steve Good's got some bowls patterns. You can get other bowl patterns from other websites, but there's an endless designs of different trivets you could do. It's just a matter of how you color them and stuff. So with that said, I hope you liked the video. Give me a thumbs up, ring that bell. I got more videos coming, but I just thought this was a cool idea to use one pattern to make something totally different. And one thing I thought about doing too is you got your trivet like this. Now I could take and make a basket out of the same one, and you'd have a basket to match the trivet. So you could, you know, whatever you wanted to do. So it's just all different ideas. You can take one pattern and make one or two different projects with it. So just thought it'd be a good video to share with you. I hope you like it. And we'll see you next time.